to a new episode of the Rebel Radio Podcast, and this is Mark.
And I'm your Huckleberry.
That's not really funny because you threw me off.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I should have told you who I was.
Fucked up my rhythm, man.
Darn it. I'm sorry.
The first 30 seconds of the show. God dang it. You know, we're recording. We've been recording at night lately instead of in the mornings, afternoons, which is good, but it's also like I'm a little tired from the weekend. We had a long weekend.
Yeah, it was a long weekend.
We had a big Christmas party, kind of
here
at the house, which I think turned out really good.
It was fun.
We played some games. We drank some beer. We drank a lot of beer.
Drank some Jack too.
And I think general consensus is that we had a good time.
Oh yeah.
We had some friends that are familiar friends, and we had some new friends that we invited to this that hadn't hung out with us before. And then you, of course, your family were here, and Frank and other friends, and I had a friend of mine, and she's going to know who this is because she listens to the show. But she's like, I didn't know what to expect, and I was like, what? You thought it was going to be lame? I was like, because I'm old,
Because you're old.
And, but no, me, you know me a long time, Matt.
Is that thick girl that was sitting on the chair with the lipstick?
That could be that's.
She was wearing a sweater, and it was like black and white.
Now you just called her out directly. That's even worse, man.
Hey, there was two girls wearing black and white sweaters.
I know.
I don't know who this is. I mean, I know who this is, but I don't.
Now
know
you
this.
made it obvious.
Okay,
so if she kicks her ass,
I'm not.
It's not my fault.
No, like thick in a good way. Like, and I'm trying not to elaborate.
No, you've done what?
Hey, man, thick is like. Like Elizabeth Hurley in the 90s now.
You still have to be careful with those terms nowadays.
I'm fearless, Mark. I'm fearless. I'm feeling fearless.
I mean, I was like not saying the obvious, like going to saying her name, but you just have to point out, good job.
Yeah, the white elephant. The white elephant.
Yeah, the white elephant gift. Which, man, I hate white elephant gifts, man. I always get stuck with something that my family
I thought you were going to get stuck with the box that I bought.
The game was all fucked up because it was designed that if you start with your own gift, you're not supposed to end up with your own. Now, you could end up with something you bought if you have family members playing, which is what happened in this case. But people screwed up. You went up with two gifts. We ended up passing gifts across the way.
Yeah.
So it was all, but it turned out fun. But overall, though, anyway, as I was saying, they said that they thought, I said, what, you thought it was going to be lame? And they were like, no, that's not what I meant. But you've been to some parties that we've thrown. And, man, me and Mary we're pretty legit, man.
Yeah.
We throw parties down pretty good. My 40th birthday was really good. And, And we've had some good with the famous Halloween party where we bobbed for apples.
Yes, that was fun.
Frank's penis birthday party.
Oh man, that was hilarious.
Man, we've thrown down some good parties.
Yeah, man.
We know what's up. Me and Mary might not be like party every few months, but when we do a party, even if it's once a year or once a year and a half, we throw down.
And then, even if we didn't have a whole lot of stuff to do, we're well versed in like a lot of stuff. We're always something to talk about, and which gives us an excuse to drink. So why not just, run your mouth and then get a little tipsy with your friends.
I haven't drank that much in a while, and I'm paying for a little bit. I'm a little congested from being out in the night air. We had a bonfire going and everything, and kids running around being chaotic and stuff like that. But it was I had a really good fucking time. I don't know about you. I had a really good time.
I had a really good, expletive time too.
It's okay to cuss.
Yeah, aren't we allowed only one F-bomb? Did you just use our one F-bomb?
We're PG-15, not 13.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure. I'm like, darn, I thought we'd maybe use it on Kurt Russell or Doc Holliday today. I think I've used 2 in the first few minutes of the show already. So, fuck it. There's another one. Fook. And, I'm going to do the Irish fook. The fook.
But that was the big thing this week. Really was that. I mean, I did do something fun Sunday, but I'm saving that for download this because it's something I went and saw.
Yeah.
But other than that, just work. Christmas is coming. We knocked out most of our Christmas shopping. We have like 2 things left to buy for our nephews. Other than that, we're done. And they might be clicking Amazon, so I don't have to go anywhere. Here in the next day or two.
Just be careful because it's like some of these things. I was looking today. Because there was a deal on this car wash that I really like. It's a really, really good car wash, and they had it at 40% off. It's not a huge deal. It was a couple bucks, but I was like, now it's definitely worth it to get it. So it's like must qualify with an order of over $25, of course. So I'm like, okay, and I'm looking for stuff. And I'm like, we're probably going to have a Nerf battle at my aunt's. And I go to look at this Nerf vest, and it says not in stock until the 20th. And it wasn't expecting to get there until, expect to be delivered at my house until Christmas Eve sometime. And I'm like, man, that's kind of a bummer. Now you kind of have to look to make sure that the item's in stock, when it's going to be in stock.
But then sometimes they'll get stocked the next day. Like we had ordered an Echo Dot to send to her dad, and it said it wasn't going to get there until Christmas Eve, and he got it yesterday. So you never know. So you just have to keep an eye on it. Amazon knows what's up. Yeah,
I do trust them for the most part.
They're going to destroy the world one day by becoming...
Probably.
I've told you this before on the show. Amazon and Disney are going to own the fucking planet. Mm-hmm. And this is the way it's going to be. But anything else exciting this week besides Christmas shopping and our big Easter?
I mean, there were some movies that came out, and I have some friends that, have had some positive reviews on, of course, of Aquaman, and a lot of people are liking Into the Spiderverse, saying that it's probably one of the best Spider-Man movies they've ever seen. Had a few friends that watched both of those this weekend, so I got to get on it. I got to make it to the theater and try and watch one of these. But other than hanging out here, that's pretty much all I did.
Yeah,
and I cleaned my house. Did
cleaning? I did that too. And actually, after the party, the house wasn't too bad. I have to get
dude, we're not Eagles fans.
I have to get on my dog James a little bit because he left a couple beer bottles outside. He's the only one drinking Heineken. But other than that, the house...
Whoa, so you put your hand on his hiney?
No, that would be weird. But people pleased themselves pretty good. It wasn't too bad. A few dishes, pretty good. A lot of leftover food, but that's okay.
I took mine.
Yeah, me and Mary actually mentioned that. We're like, man, he didn't even leave no potatoes for us, man. He took the whole fucking thing.
I'll have to make some next time. They were pretty darn good. I was pretty spot on with my potatoes this time.
I actually ate hardly anything because I had gone to Michael's team party earlier that day, and we ate barbecue and a lot of good food. And I was drinking beer, and I snacked with some crackers, a little bit of turkey. That's about all I ate. I really just didn't eat much. But
nice.
But that's okay. And if you slam that bottle again in my ears, I'm going to punch you across the... No, I wouldn't punch you because I might knock you out and we wouldn't have a show.
I'd be like
starting podcasting by myself. Well,
we're going to wait until Matt wakes up.
He just got Rocky Balboa. And I'm just going to talk about the wind because it's blowing.
The wind.
Yeah.
So, if Matt were here, he'd talk about the weather. So we're going to talk about the wind.
And our former podcast host, Frank T. Biscuit, was there too.
He was.
The party. And it's funny because he's all like... I used to be on the show, but now I'm not. He won't ever admit to why he's not on the show. And I can say it because he's probably not going to listen. I don't think he ever listens.
Well, he was trying to explain to somebody, and he's like, "Oh, I couldn't make it all the time, so I was like, yeah, you guys,
you weren't fucking prepared for shows."
Yeah, okay. Man, showing up trying to be like, didn't Luke use the wand to banish Voldemort? And I'm like, no.
Right.
What'd you watch?
But overall, though, man, a good shout out to everybody that was there. It was a good time.
We love Frank. We love you, Frank. You're watching. No homo. But yeah, you're cool. Come back on the show. He's whenever we talk wrestling.
Cool in an old dude kind of way.
Yeah, whenever we pull Ready to Rumble out of the, we dust it off, we polish it up a little bit, we put on there.
So.
Yeah, maybe we can have them on.
So a little holiday talk before we get into download this and the show. Man, it's Christmas month, it's December, and we talked about how Baby It's Cold Outside and Rudolph are no longer PC or whatever.
Yeah.
And did you see now that there's a movement to make Santa transgender or
not gender neutral? Gender neutral. That he's just a thing.
People, not everything has to be black and white. It's okay to be black or white.
Yeah.
And that's in for young people that knows that, it doesn't mean black and white as far as race goes.
Yeah.
It means that it's okay that things are cut and dry. Maybe that's a better way to say it. It doesn't all have to be PC. It doesn't all have to be correct in your millennial world anymore, and I'm so sick of this. I'm getting really tired of it, and I'm completely supportive of rights for everyone. I think everyone should be equal, gay, transgender, black, white. I don't care. I treat everyone with respect, and I always have. I mean, at the party the other day, we had a span of people here. We had our friend James is Arabian. and his wife. And so we have all kinds of friends of multicultures, and so that's not the issue. But it's not everything has to be what you want it to be because you think that's what's necessary in society. Santa Claus is fucking Santa Claus. He's a dude.
Yes.
He has a wife named Mrs. Claus. Maybe, if anything, we need to bring Miss Claus more to the limelight and make her as popular.
I think that's probably a better argument.
But Santa doesn't need to be gender neutral,
Yeah.
But I'm also okay if cultures want to have Poncho Claus, which is more of a Texas thing.
Yeah.
Or if they want to believe that Santa Claus is black, that's fine. That's fine. But he's still a male, and he still has Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's just the horse shit all the time of just everyone wanting what they want because they have this fucking idea in their head to say, oh, this is the way it should be because it's 2018 and everything has to be what we want it to be now. And that is the millennial generation doing that shit.
Yeah.
But I also support the millennial generation because they're the ones who are listening to a lot of podcasts now and they support the movement of podcasting that we do. So we appreciate that. But they also you gotta stop with wanting everything to be your fucking way.
I feel like if we were in Step Brothers, this would ensue like the baby Jesus type of analogies, but except for Santa Claus, like, I want my Santa Claus singing lead vocals for Leonard Skinner, and I'm in the front row, and I'm hammered drunk.
but I mean, it's getting ridiculous. Every week I read something in the news because somebody somewhere on the internet's not happy, and they want to, change things because the status quo isn't what it should be anymore because it's different than 100 years ago.
Yeah, it's like, I know this, we need to include everything, but it's like, I feel like that's, we need to make a water bottle, tea and soda and lemonade all in one. And it's like, if it's water, it's just fine. It's fine the way it is. We don't have to, change it. That's like, those who don't know, I'm like a white Hispanic. I am mainly Hispanic, but we have more, Spaniard, European Spaniard in our blood, so
I'm more white. Boy wanted to be Spanish.
Yeah, basically. If DNA and skin color are completely off. So, but we've never had like a Mexican superhero. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care because it's like it is what it is. And I take things, for as it is.
But you have great moments like in Rogue One, man. You had Diego Luna playing this Hispanic character of Cassie, and that is someone that Hispanic people can look up to, and he was great in the movie.
Yeah, and I remember you telling the story about the girl that you saw, and he's like, wow, a Hispanic person having a prominent role, and they're not like, vato,
But I think we're getting there. Like, you have directors like Antonio Banderas tried really hard to make a Hispanic hero in a way with the Desperado films,
Yes.
And we have that now with Black Panther, and we're getting there. We're getting to there. And people just need to be patient, but you don't need to shove it in our face. We don't need Santa to be gender neutral. We don't need everything. And I'm not saying that it's to have total patience, because I do understand that people have been waiting for these things, but I think the world is changing for the better when it comes to that kind of stuff as far as inclusion and getting everybody included.
But yeah, I'm with you. And we don't need to make Scarlet Witch, Scarlet Warlock.
Like why is the LBG community so insistent on putting a character in Star Wars? If it happens, it happens. But why are they pushing so hard to make Disney do it?
It's like my sister's the same way she is. It's like my sister is LGBT. And she doesn't care. She's like whatever.
Yeah, most people. That's what you're saying. Most regular moviegoers, book readers, comic book readers, whatever, they don't care.
Yeah,
they just want to go see great stories. But you have that certain social level that they think that they need to say everything, but Santa doesn't need to be. Just let him be Santa Claus and have Mrs. Claus.
If you want, a Santa Claus to be, gender fluid or whatever, it's like fun day program and get one made and get it out there. Right. That's the best thing I can tell you, because the people that make these movies, they're in control of their own project. So they're not just going to cater it to like one certain ideal. They're going to put their what they're envisioning on the film, and that's what it's going to be.
I've always said about the medium of film and comics and books, podcasting, any kind of media. You put good product out, people are going to come to it. They're going to listen to it. They're going to watch it. They're going to read it. That's what it is. It doesn't matter if your characters are gay. If they're black, if they're white, if they're Hispanic, if you put good product out, people are going to pay attention to it, and that's what's most important. Just make quality product, and
That's all that
the
matters.
entertainment industry will continue. And Santa Claus just needs to keep making quality toys.
Yes.
I guess. But that's all I've got that's on my mind this week.
Yeah,
Just
pretty
read
much.
it. So you're ready to get to download this?
I'm ready
let's
for
get
it.
the show started, full swing. I've got a big movie I saw, but what did you watch this week?
It's funny. My download this is actually me downloading something, but only starting to watch it after I got sidetracked, and then I started cleaning, and then I didn't even get to watch it. And I saw that Venom was available to buy.
Yeah.
And so I downloaded Venom, and I was going to stream it.
You bought it without watching it?
I did. Because
I heard it's very bad.
Really? Oh, man. I heard it was like... I heard it was kind of like, Batman versus Superman.
I've heard it's like 3 different movies in one. Like, it doesn't know what it wants to be.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I paid full price for that shit, too.
I would have read it. That's why I'm not going to buy it. I'll read
My
it.
son loves Venom, and I thought, Jake loves Venom. That's his... he loves Agent Venom, and, he has a couple Venom toys, and he loves them. But,
well, now I know you bought it. I'll use your Voodoo.
yeah, now you can use use the Voodoo, and that's another thing. Sharing is caring. You can watch it. I think my cousin has access to my Voodoo, so now he can watch it. So I'm just spreading the love. But I downloaded it, and I really didn't get to watch it. The only other thing that I downloaded and watched this week was Jingle All the Way.
We were watching that earlier tonight.
Yeah.
Put my cookie down.
Put the cookie down. Oh, these cookies. Jake thinks it's hilarious, and I'm like, Sinbad is so bad, but I was like, it is what it is, and it is funny. I love the part where Arnold's beating the shit out of all the Santa Clauses, and then the Big Show comes up, and you're like, whoa, I thought Arnold was big.
Right.
The Big Show is friggin' massive.
Towers over him.
Yeah.
It's a fun little movie. So that's all this week.
That's about it, man.
You talk Venom. We're going to stay around the Spider-Man universe. Well, first I bought Spider-Man the game on PS4, but I haven't played it because the disc doesn't want to download and install. Man. And I went online, and apparently this is a problem with a lot of people that are having trouble getting it installed. Sony has no answer for it, so it looks like I'm taking that bitch back to Target. They better give my money back because I'm just going to buy a PlayStation card and just buy it digitally online because apparently the digital copy will work.
Okay.
But apparently the people have had problems with the disc version. But I saw... I didn't watch a lot this week either, but I did see Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, which is worth talking about a few minutes. Man, this movie it's the best Spider-Man movie ever. It's better than any live-action movies.
Wow.
Even Homecoming. I'll give you one step further, Matt. It's the best movie I've seen this year.
Wow.
It's that good, man.
It's better than Infinity War?
Yeah. It is. Wow. It's excellent. It's almost perfect. It is like a comic book coming to life on screen. It's a love letter to everything Marvel is between that Steve Ditko and Stan Lee created. There's a fabulous Stan Lee cameo in it. It is beautifully rendered. Talk about inclusion. There's the story of Miles Morales is wonderful. Mm-hmm. This young kid who's a mixed American who learns to become the hero. And it is strikingly visual from beginning to end. Simple story. I know there's been some people that said there's some flaws in the bad guys, that they're not as developed, but I think it worked perfectly. It is an absolutely incredible piece of art with an amazing soundtrack, an amazing just feel to it. I didn't stay for the post-credit scene because I had the boys, they need to go pee, but it is so worth seeing on the big screen because it's so visually striking.
It looked that way from the trailers.
It's amazing that this company, Sony, that makes this and then made Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Venom. How can they make something so awful and then make something so beautifully done?
It's kind of like DC in a way.
It honestly is my number one film of the year.
Yeah, I think DC is better than Sony.
And we're going to talk our favorite films of the year next week on our year ender. So I want to save what my favorite films of the year are for next week. But I walked out.
You just ruined number one.
Well, yeah, and I'm okay with that. I walked out of the theater going, "Wow, this was incredibly well done." It's got humor, it's got heart, it's got action, adventure, everything you want in a Spider-Man film.
It looked like they had some good comedy in it from the trailer. Whenever he's, Peter Parker's eating, and he's like, "You got any money?"
Yeah, no, it's so well done, and it's I'm not going to spoil anything because it's not what you think as far as the Spider-Man film.
Did you just quote Luke Skywalker? It's not going to go the way you think.
But it is highly recommended scene. I know Aquaman comes out this week, and a lot of people are going to go see that. But if you have a chance, see this too. I don't think Aquaman's going to be as good as this. If I told people that wanted to go see this week, I'd say go see Spider-Man before you see Aquaman.
Wow.
Because it is so worth seeing. And you know me, I take things with a grain of salt nowadays. We're so used to really we're kind of getting greedy with high-quality comic book films, and for the most part. But this has been an amazing year to have 3 films, including Black Panther, Infinity War, and this in the comic book genre that have raised the bar to just a certain level. And Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is very much worth seeing. Go see it. And we'll talk more about it after you see it because I want to know your opinion on it. Because if you get a chance, I know you'll be busy at work this week, being a holiday week. But if you get a chance, go see it, man. And take Jake; he'll love it. I think he'll love every second of it. It's really good. It's a little long for an animated film. It runs right at 2 hours.
Okay.
So I took Wyatt. He's 3. It's only his second time taking the movie. He made it good for about an hour and a half. It started getting a little the last 30 minutes, but he still made it through. So but definitely go see it.
Okay.
So
I trust.
Highly recommended.
Yeah. I feel like, Marvel. Well, I don't know. It's not Marvel Studios, but these Marvel animation movies, have been such a letdown here and there. Whenever you watch DC animation.
Well, because the stuff that Marvel's done that's been on Netflix, so they've outsourced all that. This is actually Sony Animation doing this. So Marvel, other than by name and association, this is all Sony doing this, and they pulled it off with just remarkable. It's amazing. Not to be pun intended, it's amazing. It's spectacular. It's Spider-Man, and it's spectacular. It was so good. I was like really blown away. You walk out of a Disney Pixar film and you're used to seeing something really good because it's Disney. Yeah. But you don't get that from other animation studios very rarely. And it's refreshing because this could be the start of something new, possibly. It very well could. So we'll see where they go with it. And they've already planned a sequel. They already have a sequel planned.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's really good then.
Yeah. So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, go see it. So that's it for Download This. Let's get into our featured movie this week. We are talking 1993's Tombstone, which is a completely different opposite of the spectrum of Spider-Man, as it's a Western, but a really great Western. Probably one of my favorite modern Westerns ever made. I know a lot of people talk about Clint Eastwood and Unforgiven. And Unforgiven is really good too, but Tombstone is like is that guilty pleasure Saturday matinee good. But I would say it's better than a guilty pleasure film.
Absolutely,
it's a really good movie, starring Kurt Russell, Bill Paxton, Sam Elliott,
Powers Boothe,
Thomas Hayden Church, a lot of really good actors in this.
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton makes a cameo.
Frank Stallone, the vice president from Lost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I forget his name.
Or John Locke from Lost.
Michael Rooker.
That's right, Rooker's in it.
Stephen Lang. It goes on. It's whenever you start. Billy Zane is in it.
Yeah.
You keep watching this film and you're like, holy crap! I didn't realize Billy Bob Thornton was in it until I researched the film, and I'm like, now Billy Bob Thornton's it was a little thicker in that film. Yeah, a little bit more weight to him, man.
And originally hired Kevin Jarre to direct it.
Yeah.
But he ended up getting fired from the film for disagreements with actors and things like that. And they brought in George Cosmatos, who had done Rambo.
Yeah, Rambo 2, actually.
He was actually...
He did Leviathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was more there by name and to make the production work. A lot of people... Even Kurt Russell admitted to it in an interview that he ended up directing most of this film. Mm-hmm. But he didn't take credit for it because, one, he wasn't a member of the Directors Guild yet. He was only an actor. And two, he felt out of respect for George Cosmatos, he let him have the director's credit. Yeah. But Kurt Russell has said in interviews over the years he ended up directing the film. And this is an interesting movie because we just did Superman 2, which was a movie that was split into two that was supposed to be filmed back to back. Tombstone was originally envisioned as like an epic of like 2.5, 3 hours.
It could have been a 3-hour movie easily.
And they ended up coming in and doing some script rewrites and cutting it down to the movie we have now.
Yeah, and it's set in the town of Tombstone, which historically is fairly accurate. Wyatt Earp and his brothers did give up, being the law, and they did, go over to Tombstone, where they did meet up with Doc Holliday, and a lot of this stuff is historically correct.
Yeah.
I mean, they did some things to kind of speed things up.
Yeah.
With Wyatt Earp's love life, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's fairly accurate, and that's what's also cool about it. Whenever you can get a good movie, and it's pretty historically accurate.
Yeah, because they make this, as far as the history part, feel like it takes place over a matter of a few weeks, where historically Wyatt Earp was in the town too, so for about a year, where all this happened. And the movie makes it take place on a bit shorter period of time, because like one part in history when the two brothers are shot, they're not shot on the same night. They're actually shot months apart in history, but in the movie they get shot on the same night.
And the cowboys, they didn't wear red sashes.
Right.
But this is kind of like the product of that early 90s when you had the gangs in New York.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have that element in the movie, which is fine because, I guess it adds a little bit of flair to the bad guys.
Right. But it's Hollywood productions. So you're gonna play things up and but a lot of it is really accurate. Wyatt Earp did come to this town and did just want to settle down with his family and everything, but instead he ends up getting caught in the law because in this town, the cowboys were running things, and Wyatt Earp didn't like that, and his brothers get involved first, and that did happen like that historically, and then Wyatt ended up getting involved anyway, even though he didn't want to.
Yeah, they got tired of the cowboys using this town for their own, selfish means and criminal activity.
Right, and then they constantly they bought the judges and things like that. So every time they would get arrested, they would get away with it. Some things changed, like when they shoot the town marshal. Actually, the reason that Curly Bill got away with it in real life was because Marshall didn't die on scene. He actually lived a few minutes longer.
Yeah.
And he did admit that it was a fair and square gunfight.
Hey, you know what? I almost forgot. Who else is in this film? One of your favorite actors, Charlton Heston.
Oh, yeah.
Heston's in this movie.
In fact, Heston's scene is the only scene that was finished completely by Kevin Jarre before he's fired. And they actually had a bigger plan for Heston. He was going to be... I think he was originally going to play the town marshal,
yes,
if I remember right. But then he wanted a smaller part. Then it was going to be classic Western actor Glenn Ford was going to play the marshal, but he became ill and wasn't able to do it, so they ended up casting Carey for the role instead. Yeah.
Speaking about casting, it's like you almost had William Dafoe as Doc Holliday, and we almost had Richard Gere as Wyatt Earp, which I don't think it would have been as good of a movie had you done that.
No, because Val Kilmer he's so good.
This is probably his best performance. Oh, yeah. I mean, I growing up, my first Val Kilmer movie was I want to say it was Top Gun, but there was an off chance that it was The Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas. And
that came out after this.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It did. And for some reason, I feel like I got to Val Kilmer's performances late.
Yeah.
And Ghost in the Darkness, I thought was really cool. It's probably a movie that we'll touch on. Later. We'll keep that in our back pocket for a rainy day. But this is, just all the work that he put into the character. And just looking like he's sick, and having that Southern accent and that high IQ that Doc Holliday had, and actually, not slinging his gun around a whole lot, really, which is pretty accurate with what the original Doc Holliday would do. I mean, the original Doc Holliday, I think, killed one or two people, but everyone was afraid of him. Yeah.
But this is definitely his iconic role, and Val did a lot of study and history about Doc Holliday because he wanted to be accurate as he could, like the hand on the waist. From what he read in history, that Doc would always put his hand on the waist the way he walked.
Yeah.
But Val also added his own idiosyncrasies, like when they're going to the gunfight in the OK Corral and he's whistling. That was his own thing he did.
Yeah.
Things like that. It was known that Doc had a saying where I'm a huckleberry, but some people believed it might have been I'm a hucklebear.
Oh, okay.
Because of his accent, people weren't sure what he was saying back then.
Yeah.
And there was a term for what it actually means.
Yeah, it means I'm the right man for the job.
And he did have a feud with Johnny Ringo.
Yes.
But he actually didn't kill him in history.
Yeah.
Johnny Ringo was found dead by a tree by a farmer who believes that Ringo killed himself out there. But in the movie, because they had the feud, they had to
make it look a little
more exciting. Where have a showdown at the end of the film.
And also, Johnny Ringo, from historical records, he would have not been able to speak Latin.
Played by the great Michael Biehn.
Michael Biehn. We didn't even mention.
Yeah,
that's just like they dirty up his face pretty good to where you can still tell it's Michael Biehn, but Ike's character.
Ike Clinton.
Yeah, and he's so dirty you can't even tell that he's the general from Avatar. Stephen Lang.
Yeah, Stephen Lang.
Yeah. And so the makeup's really good in here, and it's funny how these characters just pop up on you. These big names, all these big names in this film,
and
you hardly realize it until you start talking about it.
And Powers Boothe, who is from Texas, where we're from, and he's he's in this movie, and this was like, for him as an actor too, I think this is one of his iconic roles also, because he plays Curly Bill, who's like the leader of the Cowboys and everything.
Yep.
And another historically accurate scene is when Wyatt walks across on the water,
on the water,
through the water in a hail of gunfire to shoot Curly Bill. That really happened. There were witnesses of that happen. That Wyatt walked across the water and wasn't scared and shot Curly Bill right in front of everybody.
Yeah, man, it's amazing that he actually lived until 1929.
Yeah,
it's crazy how long of a life he had with how he lived and how big his cojones were whenever he'd take on some of these guys. But Kansas Law Dog.
But and Kurt Russell he's really good in this movie, and Kurt is one of those actors that always gives his best in every film that he does, and this he really, like, it comes across on the screen like he really cares about what he's doing. Like, you believe him as a cowboy, like he's as a lawman, that he is not going to fuck around. He's gonna take care of business. And I think that's what makes it work. And the relationship he has with his brothers, played by Sam Elliott and Bill Paxton. And Paxton, again, man, Paxton, we've talked about him on shows before. He always owns his roles and does such a good job with stuff.
He kind of gets overshadowed by these big guys, though. I feel like he doesn't get a chance to be Bill Paxton in this movie, but. There's so many big names in this film. It's really hard to squeeze all these people together. It's almost like a Western Avengers or something like that, all these characters, and it's like, trying to fight for screen time. Someone's going to get lost in translation. I guess Bill, was the Huckleberry there.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell's performance, like you said, in that opening scene, whenever he's at the faro table and the dealer there is Billy Bob Thornton, and he thinks he's tough shit, and Kurt Russell just walks up and lets him know that he ain't.
Right.
He's like, oh, I'm scared. Damn right you're scared. I can see it in your eyes. And he's like, steps up, shows his gun. Go ahead, rock that smoke wagon.
Yeah.
Come on. Slaps him. Just slapping him. Come on. You're just going to stand there and bleed. And I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, and he's just standing there looking like he's used to, just people backing off from him, but, he's not.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, and so because he wants to make money when he gets to town, so he ends up buying this faro table, ends up making the saloon get popular again, and of course the Cowboys don't like it because they're like, who's this new guy came into our town? And it leads to a really funny scene where Johnny Ringo's messing around with him, and he spins his gun around. Doc Holliday takes the coffee cup and spins it around against the gun.
That was funny.
A really good scene. And who knows if Doc Holliday really did that, but it strikes me as that he might have done something like that.
Yeah, because Doc was known as a person that would kind of smart off,
right,
and use his wit to make other people look stupid.
But he was definitely a womanizer and definitely a drinker and a smoker, and he didn't care. He openly admitted to it. It's like, oh, I don't care if I live another day, and he was always that way. He swore he would die with his boots on and in a pile of sand or whatever, and that's why at the end of the movie when he dies, he actually sat on a bed of ice to make himself look really cold for the role. Like you said, he put himself in his role, and the line where he says, I'll be damned, is his last words, is historically accurate.
Yes.
And a lot of people believe it's because you look at his feet like, well, I didn't die with my boots on or laying in sand or nothing. I'm here in a hospital bed,
Yeah, and a lot of people, also feel like I'll be damned because it wasn't the drinking, it wasn't the smoking, it wasn't all the women or the gunfighter. Tuberculosis.
And but
so many things to try and shorten his life, but in the end, tuberculosis got him.
And he did also historically consider Wyatt Earp his only friend.
Yeah,
he even said that in his he did write a memoir book before he died, as you see him writing in the movie a little bit, and in that he always admitted that Wyatt was the only person he ever trusted on the planet, and that it was ever his true friend. But Val Kilmer is amazingly good in the role, and he's awesome. But everyone's awesome in this movie. But the big moment of this movie, of course, is the fight at the OK Corral, which is a famous gunfight in history.
Yeah.
And it's funny because this gunfight wasn't really famous till years later. It was well known, but it was more, honestly, the movies that made this gunfight more popular than it actually was in history. Through the classic film, the Fight at the OK Corral, or Gunfight at the OK Corral, to this film that made this fight more popular.
Is that the one with Adam West?
No, he had no. That's a different title.
Okay,
yeah. But there's several movies made about this story, and so through cinema, this fight became more popular in history than it actually was in the history books, because the actual fight in history takes place in about 45 seconds, just like it does in the movie. It's about maybe 2
real
minutes
fast,
in the movie. But history shows that we're about 30 shots fired within 2 minutes, and out of everything that I could find when I was reading this, that Tombstone, this film, is probably the most accurate as to what happened. That there have been films in the past that made it a little bit more dramatic, a little bit more,
like Val Kilmer,
Hollywood,
like Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp film. Yeah.
But this one, it did take place next to the photo studio, just like it happens in this, where she's running out of the photo studio. And it did happen where apparently Doc Holliday did say when first,
yes,
from what they say in history. So this is probably the most historically accurate of the gunfights in this version I can see. But it's an important moment in the film because that's what Tombstone is known for. You can still, to this day, go visit Tombstone, Arizona, and visit the site where the gunfight took place. It's a historical site. So this is what the whole movie is built up to. But it's not the centerpiece of the film. There's still a whole other 30, 40 minutes after this fight takes place in the movie. And that's what's amazing about this.
Yeah, because there are some cowboys that aren't laying down, and so they got to hunt them down. They're hunting down all the cowboys, and eventually they take them all out. Yeah. Because that's what Wyatt Earp's going to do. Yeah. He's going to take them all on himself. I mean, whenever his brother gets on, his last surviving brother and his wife gets on the train to leave, and Ike and I forget who else comes with Ike to go take care of all of them.
Right.
And he says, "Hell, I'm coming, and hell's coming with me."
Yeah.
Hell's coming with me.
Which is another historically thing they changed, because his other brother, played by Sam Elliott, actually did die from that wound to his arm.
Yeah.
He bled out, but in the movie they have him leave, and everything. But, that's okay. Biopics and historical pics are always going to change something, as we've talked before. But, yeah, so some of the other cowboys aren't happy with what the Cowboys did to their women and did to his brother, so they dropped their red sashes. They end up joining up with Wyatt Earp and giving themselves up to hunt down the rest of the Cowboys. So the movie has almost another 30 minutes afterwards where Wyatt goes to this hump and takes out the rest of the Cowboys. Did I say hump?
Hunt. You meant hunt.
Yeah, but
he went on a hump. I mean, he went on that too, but
it takes out the rest of these cowboys in the movie, and I think that's what makes the movie work really too, because they could have easily ended the movie right at the OK Corral and it said some dramatic way he took care of all the cowboys. But I like the fact that it shows more to the story than just the end of the movie.
Yeah, and then another thing that's historically accurate that is going on around here is I forget what that girl's character's name is, but she really only likes Wyatt because he's a more famous name.
Right.
And he was already, I mean, Wyatt historically cheated a lot, and this time, as history proceeds, his wife is an opiate, and she does so much opium that she's just laid out all the time. He ends up leaving her because of it. And then
they actually had a scene in the movie, and it's apparently, I guess, in one of the trailers you can see it, where I guess there's a love scene between him and I don't have her character's name in front of me, at the beginning of the film, whenever they meet riding their horses and stuff, but they end up cutting it because, for that reason, they wanted Wyatt to be more likable. You didn't want, as despite his problems with his wife, you didn't want to show him cheating, even though history knows that but history also, at that time, it was acceptable. It was different. You could be married, you could still go to the saloon and do what you wanted to do. And the women accepted it. It was just different back then. That doesn't make it right, but it was just different times. But yeah, they cut that from the film because they wanted Wyatt to be portrayed more as a hero, which is what the film was going for. And there's nothing wrong with that because essentially he is an Old West hero, despite his shortcomings. Because he wasn't a perfect man, but he was a hero of the Old West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's I feel like whenever after he hunts down everybody and that happens, I feel like the movie just kind of wraps up right there. That must have been whenever they're like, okay, we're hitting the 2-hour mark, we'll wrap this thing up.
Right.
All right, Wyatt, it's snowing. You marry that girl, and then walk away into the sunset.
And they did the snow scene at the end to contrast all the grit and dirt and the sand and everything. They wanted to show like a light at the
peaceful.
end of the movie.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I do feel like that part of the movie is very peaceful.
Yeah, but overall though, I think this movie is one of my favorite westerns of all time. I think it still holds up well 25 years later. And that's why we're doing it. It's because of the 25th anniversary. I remember seeing this in theaters, actually. I was in high school. I don't remember loving it when I saw it in theaters. I don't know why. Maybe it was just because I was only 16, 17 years old. Mm-hmm. But I remember watching this on home video a lot in the 90s and stuff and really loving this movie more and more the more I watched it. And I think that this movie might be... I remember watching a lot of old westerns growing up,
mm-hmm.
With my dad and stuff. But this movie might be the reason I like westerns. I can almost credit Tombstone for that because I saw this as a different genre than science fiction and other things I watched. And I like this movie quite a bit.
You think I almost feel like I would enjoy, now maybe it's just because I grew up seeing Quick and the Dead a whole lot more, but I would almost put Quick and the Dead on par or just a little bit more enjoyable, not better but enjoyable for me.
When was the last time you watched Quick and the Dead though?
Maybe a year ago.
Because I was watching not that long ago and it's really cheesy.
I know it's cheesy. I mean, obviously like Leo's character. Oh yeah, Sam Raimi.
And that's
it's the gunfighting, just the glorifying of the quick draw, the standoffs, and
you need to watch more spaghetti westerns if you really want to see good glorified gunfights.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, reach out. I'll let you like the Big Gun Down or the Grand Duel. I'm not talking the Eastwood stuff. There's go seek out like Lee Van Cleef stuff he did.
Okay,
you'll realize that the Quick and don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the Quick and the Dead, but it's got that Sam Raimi cheesiness to it. But you realize how not good it is if you go watch some really great spaghetti westerns, and I think that's just a product of you not being culture-fied in those films.
That's fair. That's a fair analysis.
It's just like me. I'm not as big into the car chase movies and stuff as you are. And again, I like the Quick and the Dead for what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can put it with Tombstone. Not when I've seen a lot of other really good spaghetti westerns.
Yeah.
And I think if you saw those, you'll start. Man, you have Amazon Prime. There's a lot of great stuff on Amazon Prime.
There actually is a lot of spaghetti
really
westerns
good spaghetti
on there.
Westerns on there. Like Death Rides a Horse, man, that's a good one. There's several of them. I'll point them out to you, man. We'll have to be texting back more, tell you some movies to watch so you can really see what this genre is all about. And Tombstone does borrow from spaghetti western ideas and stuff in some ways, but it's also more of a straightforward Hollywood production than it is a spaghetti western, in a lot of ways. But it's one of my favorite westerns of all time, Tombstone. I don't know if I probably would. This probably would be my number one western. I don't know. I may go back and forth to this and the good, the bad, and the ugly. But they're both right up there.
Good, bad, and the ugly.
Which is a movie definitely we'll be doing one day.
Heck yeah, man. That's that, and then for a few dollars more.
Well, that whole trilogy is, even though they're not a direct trilogy, they're all they're connected by character. Yeah.
I almost watched. I think I watched A Few Dollars More a few weeks ago, and I almost wanted to buy that poncho that he wears in there. And they're very proud of it. I think they want like $80 for that thing, and then a regular one's like $30.
I love the opening scene of that movie. It's like, well, you owe an apology to my horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you upset him.
You upset him.
Yeah. He basically kills them all because they upset him. It's awesome. But final thoughts on Tombstone for you, man. I mean, I really enjoy this film. It's still, in 25 years, and people are still watching this and discovering it, and I think that's the power of a good film.
Yeah, I mean, and it speaks to the talent of the cast that was put in place. I mean, you can't doubt the talent that made that movie happen, and that's part of what also makes it work.
Yeah, that's what, like you were saying, this is one of those movies where you look at the cast list on IMDb, and you're like, wow, this is phenomenal people for 1993.
Yeah.
It's just like a modern version of that. It's like I was watching parts of Black Hawk Down the other day.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't realize that's what 2001, 2002. how many actors that are now popular 15 years later, they're in Black Hawk Down. You
Yeah.
know, it's just, sometimes you get those movies that cast all these great actors and all of them become stars later in some way in their own right. And now with Tombstone, some of these guys were already stars. You know, Kurt Russell and Sam Elliott was obviously a star, and Powers Boothe. But you know, there's Michael Biehn. But there's a lot of good stuff in this movie. You know, and I love Tombstone. You know, I think it's always going to be something I'm going to go back and watch over the years. So any favorite Kurt Russell? You know, Kurt Russell. We've done a couple Kurt Russell movies. We did Escape from New York, and now we're doing this, and we did Big Trouble in Little China. So we've done a few Kurt Russell films, and he's an actor, man. That you know, the Santa Chronicles is on Netflix right now, and it's over 20 million views. It's been one of Netflix's biggest hits ever.
Dude, they took that song from there and they play it on the friggin' stations.
That's awesome.
On Sirius Radio. It's friggin' cool. It's awesome, man.
What is it about Kurt Russell, man, that makes him just... He's not Tom Hanks or Russell Crowe. He's not going to win Oscars, but he's such a watchable, likable guy and just makes films that people enjoy.
I think, okay, I know he's not like the Arnold Schwarzenegger type, but I feel like, you know, Arnold is pretty much the same in all of his movies. Yeah. And I feel like Kurt Russell is kind of the same in all of his movies, a little bit.
Yeah, but then he'll do movies like Tombstone, where he shines a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, but he
just has this flair to him. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Yeah, and I think that is what
dad too.
Yeah,
you know?
like he's the really cool dad.
Yeah.
That, you know, can just say anything, do anything. He doesn't take any shit. He can take it and dish it out, what have you. And he gives you a really good performance every time. Like you said, he's not going to be, you know, the kind of caliber that Tom Hanks is.
I mean, he even did a Die Hard type movie with Executive Decision.
Oh, yeah.
You know, where he saved people a plane. Besides the easy picks, Big Trouble in Little China or Tombstone, what are your favorite Kurt Russell movies?
I know you mentioned Breakdown earlier, you know, in the last show, and that's something that I saw. Yeah, that was probably my first Kurt Russell film that I saw, Breakdown, because it was on. My parents had Encore, and it was whenever we had first gotten cable, and that was the first film I ever saw, and I thought it was one of the coolest films ever because he gets the fake dollar bills, or not the fake dollar bills, but the $1 bills. And they think that, you know, even though he's talking about this lotto car, they think he has this money, so they ransom his wife. The car's broken down, they take him. And he gets his wife back. He saves the day, and it's a thriller. It's kind of a thriller that, you know, people could probably forget about, but I didn't forget about it.
Right.
And I think that's a really good movie that he's in that, you know, people forget.
Of course, The Thing, which is which is a classic, which pretty sure is coming up here in May on the show for our lead into Compalooza. I forgot he was in. I was looking that he's in Vanilla Sky.
Oh, with Tom Cruise?
Isn't my favorite movie, but I just forgot he was in that.
Man, what else is he in? Oh, you know what? Have you ever seen Sky High?
Oh, yeah.
He's
kind of cheesy.
Yeah, it's very cheesy. He's, you know, it's like a knockoff superhero movie. It's like they tried to do a live version of, you know, Incredibles almost, but, you know, it didn't quite work out. Bruce Campbell's in that film too, and he's pretty good in that one for what it is.
Stargate, which is one of my favorite sci-fi movies, he's in that. Frank's a big Stargate guy. He's not here today recording because apparently, you know, I used to be on the show, but you know.
And then how can we forget Tango and Cash? He was
Stallone.
Yeah, Stallone.
But just good actor is going to continue to make good stuff, I think. You know,
the original Overboard.
Oh, well, yeah, I knew he was in that.
I forgot about that. I'm just kind of looking.
Even that wasn't very good, but you know,
it wasn't.
They remade it.
Yeah, they remade it because, hey, remakes make so much more money in the box office. It's that Will Sasso bit whenever he's Arnold. He's like, come see my new movie. He's like, when I was in a racer, I had to get Vanessa Williams back her stolen identity. When I was in the 6th day, I had to get back my stolen identity. Then he's like, so I made this movie. It's called Stolen Identity. He's like, but wait, I called it Stolen Identity 3 because sequels make so much more money in the box office. Will Sasso's version of Arnold is just so over the top and hilarious. It's like he knows he does like a crazy Austrian accent and he just owns it.
Not as good as our comics Arnold.
No, not as good as that guy. You know, yeah. but it's like people have so many different takes on Arnold's voice. It's like J.J. Watt did the Arnold contest like a few years ago, and I think he did it on purpose just so he could talk like Arnold, and he did like the typical, there's people that just talk like that, and they're like,
All right,
I felt like he just wanted to showcase that he could do a pretty good Arnold impersonation, and so he just tells everyone, go around and ask people to do an Arnold impersonation. Let's see how everyone do. And then you have some people that are like, Arnold Schwarzenegger. They sound like the guy who ended up being president in The Simpsons. Up and at them. Radioactive Man.
Okay.
Radioactive Man.
I'm not... Simpsons is one of those things that, despite it being around for like 20 years, I never really got into. I don't know all the characters.
Yeah.
I know certain ones, but I've never
It's funny. I made a Simpsons reference the other day on the way to church on yesterday, and she was, because my wife, she sings in the choir, and I was like, I need to pull a Bart Simpson and go up there and switch out the music so your organ player has to play In the Garden of Eden. In the Garden of Eden, baby. And she's like, huh? And I'm like, you never saw that episode of The Simpsons? I was like, well, that's whenever most people watch The Simpsons, whenever they were, in their fourth, fifth, sixth season.
People do Seinfeld references. I just look at them like, what are you talking about? I just never was into
Seinfeld, where it opened with boom, 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 boom.
So you want to get in some news? We got a little bit of news.
Yeah, we have a little bit of news.
We're going to get a Hellboy trailer this Thursday.
You sure?
Yeah, they officially announced it. So that's it. Look for the Hellboy trailer.
Look for it. Yes.
Maybe Disney drops the bomb and releases a Star Wars trailer on Wednesday with Mary Poppins Returns. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could happen.
It could happen.
And we get the title.
Stranger thing, as my grandpa once said, it has happened, it will happen, and it will happen again.
Did you watch the Godzilla trailer?
I did.
Man.
It looks pretty damn good.
Cool, man.
Shout out to Long. Long lost his shit.
Yeah, our boy Long, the evil Dr. Tran. I'm not like versed in Godzilla or any kind of expert like Long is, but this, it just looks cool. I mean,
it looks good.
Fighting each other. I enjoyed the first one for what it was. I enjoyed it enough that I bought it, so I do own it. So I will be seeing this, and see Godzilla take on some fellow monsters and then wreak havoc. It's good to see Ken Watanabe come back in this movie because I really like him as an actor, man. As an Asian actor, he was in Inception and of course Batman Begins, and I feel like he doesn't always get enough roles, man. And so I'm glad to see they brought him back from the first one. But it just looks really cool, and I hope it pays off, man. I just want to see monsters fucking shit up and fucking shit.
Yes,
that's what you're going to see this for, right?
Yeah, dude. I mean,
the story really matters as long as the monsters are fucking shit up.
Yeah, dude. I just want to see monsters. That's like whenever someone talks bad about Jurassic Park. I'm like, it's freaking dinosaurs.
Well, even though Fallen Kingdom was pretty bad.
Yeah, Fallen Kingdom was a hot mess.
Yeah,
it's like they were. Old school sequel kind of type.
I'm the same way, like, even with the Transformers movies, I'm just going to see robots fight each other.
Yeah.
But I will admit that the last night was pretty horrible.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So, I can admit that it's horrible, but ultimately you're just going for these robots. You're not going, or these dinosaurs, or in this case, monsters, So we'll see. The Netflix today announced, this was like a secret that wasn't well kept, but they're doing a Dark Crystal prequel series called Age of Resistance. Are you familiar with the Dark Crystal?
Oh, yes. Yes, I did see the, what's his name?
The original film?
Yeah, but I can't think of the puppeteer.
Jim Henson.
Henson. Yeah. Darn it. Yeah.
I recently watched this not that long ago because I wanted to show it to Michael. It didn't hold up well for me. I found the movie kind of boring. I remember loving it as a kid. But it didn't hold up well, but that being said, I like the concept. And in Netflix's hands, it's still Jim Henson Studios. They're still going to be involved in it. And they're going to use puppets and modern and stuff. This could be cool. I think it could work as a series. Do 45-minute episodes and see where they go with it. So I guess usually it's funny when Netflix announces stuff, it usually comes out pretty quickly. So I imagine this might be hitting later this year. We just got Punisher Season 2 announced for January. Probably will be canceled in February, but hey, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there very excited for the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance prequel series because it definitely has its fans. And I wouldn't say I'm not a fan. I just felt the movie didn't hold up as well as when I was a kid.
No, that's fair. And honestly, I didn't see it until probably 2005.
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed it. I probably did see it, but just didn't remember it.
Didn't recall it. Yeah.
And actually, our friend Lee let me borrow the disc. One time we were talking on break, and he's like, "You ever seen Dark Crystal?" I was like, "Maybe, but I don't remember it." And he's like, "I'll let you borrow it." So I borrowed it. I watched it, and I was like, "Okay, pretty cool. Cool concept. Yeah."
Yeah. No, it's a cool concept. So we'll see where they go with that. So that's all the news I got, though. So it's, you get into December, news kind of slows down. There's a few movie trailers and stuff, but, like I swear Hollywood people just take off the entire holiday month. They don't work for shit in the month of December. So, news is kind of slow. So let's talk our next movie, our final episode of 2018, before we get to the new year. And we started the year with the reboot. Well, we had one episode in January. Then we rebooted the show in late January with episode 81 with Batman 89. Mm-hmm. So we're going to end the year with Batman. We're going to discuss Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
This Christmas, for the first time, America's most exciting and legendary motion picture hero comes to the screen like you've never seen him before. The Bat! In an all-new, larger-than-life feature film. Now, the Dark Knight confronts his newest and most menacing villain.
Your angel of death awaits.
The Phantasm.
I want you.
And faces his greatest danger.
Can't be too careful with all those weirdos around.
A soaring new adventure. Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. The animated movie. Coming for a Christmas you'll never forget.
Yes.
This animated film came out 25 years ago. It's still arguably one of the best Batman films ever made. And we wanted to talk this film. We've only done one other animated film so far on the show. We did Akira. So we've been wanting to find another good animated film to do. And this is a really, really good Batman movie.
No, I agree. And it's probably the first animated Batman film that I ever saw.
Yeah. It's spin off
95?
93. 25 years old. It's spin off from the very famous Batman animated series. And it did play in theaters. I actually did see it in theaters because I love Batman, so I went and saw it in theaters. And it's a really good story where we get into one thing the Batman animated series never did was touch on most of the history and the origins of Bruce Wayne, but we get some of that in this movie. Mm-hmm. And we're going to discuss this next week because it's arguably one of the best Batman films ever made with the great voices of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill and all those guys. And it's it's going to be a fun one to talk about. I'm looking forward to it because as everyone knows, I love Batman. You love Batman. Who doesn't love Batman?
Who doesn't love Batman?
You have to love Batman because if you know he's going to kick your ass.
Yeah, he's got the best superpower ever.
But
money.
We felt it was a good way to end the year to talk Batman Mask of the Phantasm. We will also talk our favorite films of the year and preview 2019, what's coming up for you in the future of the Rebel Radio podcast as we continue to discuss films, comic book culture, and cool shit.
Yes.
And stuff that pisses us off like gender-neutral Santas. But as always, though, go to the rebelradiopodcast.com where all our episodes are. You can subscribe to us on all apps.
Yeah.
Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, we are there.
That's right.
For your listening pleasure. We're always on WBLZmedia.com on Ironiq Radio on Wednesdays from 2 to 4 is our primary time slot, but I know they play us other times, so check those out. Go those out. We're still in the Tangent Bound Network. I always forget to give them a shout, even though the website seems to be forever under construction, but we're still part of that
just
network.
Like Highway 290.
And follow us on Twitter at Rebel Radio Pod. Instagram at the Rebel Radio Podcast and Facebook at the Rebel Radio Podcast. So plenty of places to catch up with the going-ons of Mark and Matt at the Rebel Radio Podcast. That's all I got. That's all you got?
That's all I got.
But as always, thanks for listening. I apologize for my bit of a cold and coughing. I'm trying to hold it in here. I was like Matt a couple weeks ago. You were about to die on the show. I actually feel okay, just a little congested, but it's from partying too much Saturday night at a Christmas party. Party hardy, man.
You're such a crazy dude.
That's right.
You crazy kid.
But thank you, as always, for listening. And until next week, have a good week. This is Mark.
This is Matt.
As always,
just go there and do it.
This is Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Man. I love Houston. I love podcasting. But what I really love is the Rebel Radio podcast.
Hey, you're listening to the Rebel Radio podcast. My name is Sean Patrick Flannery, and I hope you dig the podcast.